Oh, I didn't know that.
It's a rocket tune, man.
Yeah, it's so cool.
Good day, everybody. Welcome to the Honk Nation.
Honk, honk.
Honk, honk. One honk equals one like. So, or one like equals one honk, as Tim Pool would say. Irving Twin, how are you, my friend? It's been too long. We have not talked or been in contact with one another. I personally thought you were mad at me.
No. That's a long story. The demoralization hit me, and I didn't want to talk to anybody. I went to work and went home, and that was it.
I hear you. I hear you, man. Yeah, and I've been going through my own personal struggles myself. But it was funny because the last time we had talked, we had gone out to dinner in Oakville to that restaurant where they didn't require vax passports and they were kind of blasé about the whole mask thing. You know, the Freedom Restaurant. What was it called again?
Zucchini Cucina.
Zucchini Cucina. That's right. Yeah, good food. But fantastic. I thought Irving's he's an Italian boy, and I had myself the burger at an Italian restaurant, traditional Italian restaurant. So I'm like, oh fuck, I offended the Italian guy, and now he's not going to talk to me ever again. But yeah,
no, anyway. You know what? It did look delicious because it was a meatball burger. It was made with
the
ground
burger,
veal
so
and
it was
pork,
a mix of pork, veal, and beef, I guess.
No, probably just the veal and pork.
Veal and pork. Yeah. Oh, okay. But it was a really good burger. But yeah, Melina, my wife, I keep doxing her, saying her name. My wife keeps giving me shit because when we go out to restaurants, if they have a burger on the menu, 9 times out of 10, I'm going to get it. Because I like, especially if it's a restaurant I haven't been to before, because burgers, just call me Jughead. Burgers are my favorite food. Right, so if there's a burger at a restaurant I've just visiting for the first time, I'll probably try it, especially if it reads well on the menu. But, you know.
Yeah.
Anyway, who do we got here with us today? Looks like Costin's in. Hello, Costin. Good to see you, my friend.
How you doing, man?
But yeah, we had 4 people watching. Now we're down to 3. So it's because I haven't shaved. I'm kind of ugly looking today, but that's okay. So what's been going on with you, Irving? You alluded to some news in your life in your most recent video.
Yeah.
Let's show this here.
Yeah. So, you know, my workplace, federally regulated, forcing us to wear the masks at work, and people are basically pretending to wear the masks. And now the health officials, federal level, CDC, WHO, even the provincial health officials that have been like the worst kind of fucking unelected tyrants, have all admitted openly on the TV, yeah, masks don't really help.
They're not doing anything.
So, because I'm not some sort of science-denying extremist, I just stopped wearing a mask. It took them almost a week to catch on that, like, I'm not pretending anymore. So, I'm in the slow and painful process of getting fired.
So you're suspended currently?
No, I got suspended, and then they tried to tell me, okay, if I don't come back, I'm on an unapproved leave. So yeah, so I have to go into work every day to be.
But if you go into work and you don't wear a mask, they'll suspend you again.
Well, it's sent home and other disciplinary action. So like every day this week, I've had to go into work, go through the whole rigmarole with, you know, the management, HR stuff, and like, okay, so are you here to work? Yes, I'm here and ready to work. Are you going to wear a mask? No. And today was literally that. I walk in, hey man, how's it going? Yeah, okay. You ready to work? Of course I am. You gonna wear a mask? Nope. All right, then you have to go home. Okay, have a good weekend. And I walk out the door, right? Like, but I have to do it over and over again.
Well, because you know, you're making a statement, right?
Yeah, and like, so my old boss is actually working with my new boss to sort of like oversee, because they have to have, I guess, witnesses that everything's going smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
And after we're done, he stops me. He's like seriously, on a personal note, what's your end goal? And for a second, I was stumped. Like, it eluded me. It's like, what do you mean? What's my end goal? Oh, it was so simple and elegant. I've already achieved it. I don't wear a mask. I don't wear a mask in the stores. I don't wear a mask at work. If they're going to send me home, all right, that's it.
So you're not being paid. If you're sent home, you're not being paid. You're not working a
Right.
shift, so they're not paying you.
See, but what's funny is I'll have to go through multiple suspensions so that they can have the proper paperwork background. Anytime I'm suspended, I get paid.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm suspended so they can do an investigation, and I have to be compensated because they haven't proven that I'm actually requiring this disciplinary action. So
Right.
if they send me home, I don't get paid. But
Right.
once I get suspended, I get paid for the days I'm suspended.
Right. That's so funny.
It's just stupid.
Yeah.
It's just so stupid.
And the thing is, you're absolutely right. Like, I mean, I've known from the beginning that I can understand. Okay, so let me see if I can get my thoughts straight. So you think back to pre-COVID in Japan, occasionally you would see people walking around or on subways wearing those paperish masks, the blue ones, right? The ones
More
that
China, I think, than Japan, no?
well, no, Japan did it too. But basically, what they were doing was they would wear it if somebody would wear it if they were feeling ill because they didn't want to spread it, right?
Okay.
But they were the only people. That was the only time you would wear it. You wouldn't wear it all the time. You'd wear it if you felt like you had a sniffle. You didn't want to
Right.
spread it, so you put it on. But now we're in a situation where even if you're not like since COVID, if you're not showing any symptoms, you could be, fit as a fiddle, as they say. You're still required to wear a mask. And then, of course, because the way things work is like, well, we can't get all these surgical style masks to everybody because we need them for doctors and nurses and such in acute settings where a few droplets from speaking in an open wound can kill somebody.
Yeah.
So let's just let people wear cloth masks with funny little sayings on them and little embroideries on them and stuff like that, knowing full well that those things aren't going to do a goddamn thing. Right? If anything, you're more likely to spread it. And from the very beginning, they've been saying you're also more likely to spread it if you wear a mask because you're more likely to touch your face.
Yeah.
And if you're touching your face, you're spreading it. And I remember arguing with a buddy of mine. I'm like, look, man, if you don't have symptoms, you can't spread it. It's not floating around you like a cloud. And he's like, well, I don't know. What about asymptomatic spread? I'm like, it's not really a thing.
Yeah.
Asymptomatic spread is not really a thing. I'd have to lick my thumb, stick it in your eye, and I'd have to have COVID in order for you to get sick from it. Like,
and if you're remotely healthy, there's a good chance that it won't take. Right.
Especially now with Omicron, right? It's like Omicron. My wife's friend has her mother staying in Tansley Woods. She's got COPD, and she just tested positive for COVID, likely the Omicron variant because that's the dominant variant now. She has no symptoms, and she has COPD.
Yeah.
So we're at a point now where it's become endemic. One, it's going to be like a seasonal thing that comes around every year, and two, the symptoms are so mild, so as to be it's a nothing burger of a virus at this point. Most people have been exposed to it now, either through vaccination or through infection, that they have the immunity to it. And if you have the immunity from Delta or from the very first iteration of the virus, you have the immunity to Omicron as well, because it's still the same baseline virus. It hasn't mutated into a different, form. Anyway, I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not a virologist. I'm not a plague doctor. But like, I'm watching all these different guys on YouTube, and I'm not talking about Dr. Malone either, because I think I've heard him say 2 words. I've never actually watched anything he said. But there's a guy in the UK called I think his name's Dr. John Campbell. And he does a good breakdown of all the statistics, and he's a virologist. He knows about viral spread and all that sort of shit. And he's breaking it down. But anyway, what were we talking about? Masks. I say good on you, man, for saying, fuck it, I don't want to wear a mask.
Here's something I don't know if I mentioned, though. So since the beginning of January, there's been an ongoing outbreak at my facility. People are forced to wear masks. Everybody's getting it anyway.
Yeah.
Right? It's like across 3 shifts in 3 or 4 departments, there's maybe 200 people in the building at any given time.
Yeah.
Every day, there's at least a dozen people out. Right? And they all have COVID, and they all have to, whether they're symptomatic or not, they have to take the week off, right? So the masks clearly aren't doing anything to stop the spread. And now here's the real kicker, is the guidelines say if there is an outbreak at a workplace, it's on the employer to shut down that facility to stop because that will actually work. You can't spread a virus in a facility if the facility's closed, right?
True
But
enough.
they're not doing it. And
Well,
they're
no,
not
because I
doing
mean, you like without revealing too much, you work for one of the major shipping companies in the
Yeah.
world, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And you're in a sorting facility, is that not correct?
Yep.
They can't shut down. They can't.
No, I mean, they could. It's a fairly small sorting facility, and the work could be diverted to other facilities where there's
Oh,
no
okay,
outbreak,
okay. I thought
right?
it was like a big, huge facility. Okay.
No, and even like some of the major facilities, like you remember, like Amazon, they had an outbreak. They didn't shut down the whole giant building. They shut down a chunk of it and kept out a bunch of people where the outbreak was occurring, where these people worked, and let the other half of the building continue to run.
At the end of
But
the day, there's not a business in America or Canada or anywhere really that really needed to shut down. The fact of the matter is, the most people who are of working age are largely immune to the virus, even in its most deadly form, unless you have comorbidities, unless you're morbidly obese, you're a heavy smoker, you have COPD, something along those lines. But I mean, that's the thing. Here's the thing: if I'm not mistaken, you're not vaccinated, correct?
correct.
Have you caught COVID?
No, as far as I know.
Have you been sick over the last 2 years, severely ill?
Not severely. At one point, I had a little bit of a head cold, right?
And that's it.
Yeah.
See,
But
I got knocked on my ass right around the start of COVID when I went to make my lightsaber in Florida.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was COVID. I never got tested, but I'm 90% sure it was COVID because it is the absolute worst cold I had. I was laid out for days, and to be honest, there were times when I was lying in bed, I'm like, I think I'm going to die. Like, I felt really, really sick. I came out of it the other side okay, but yeah, it was a severe, severe cold. So the thing is, I'm not a smoker. I'm a vapor. I'm a vapist, and I'm 50 now. I have a couple of those comorbidities, and I came out of it okay. You're a smoker, heavy drinker, Italian. So you got 3 comorbidities right there,
right
pal.
right there.
Anyway, and you haven't even caught it, or at least you don't think you've caught it. You might have caught it and just never showed symptoms because your body was better at fighting it than the average Joe.
I mean, there was a period of my life of which I'm not proud, where I did I engaged in some seriously questionable behaviors. Let me tell you, there's a lot of things that can infect me because of the way that my immune system took to all those terrible, terrible behaviors, like
it can't survive in you because
no, I'm convinced. I'm convinced of that.
Like Keith Richards.
Yeah, like
Keith Richards is essentially mummified himself.
Yep.
Nothing's gonna rot him. Anyway. So it looks like we got 6 people watching, but so far there's only been 1 comment from Mr. Costin, 2 comments from Mr. Costin. So if you're there watching, folks, say
hello,
something.
people. Say
something. One like equals 1 honk. Show support for the truckers in Ottawa. We're going to get to that point, but you did your catching up. What's been happening with you? I'm going to do my catching up because it's been since that. Apart from that little short video I made, it's been a while since I posted anything. Sadly, I've had some difficult news in my life, difficult happenings in my life. In November of 2021, my mother of 81 years old. I think 81 years old. She suffered a massive stroke while changing her pants after spilling apple juice on them at breakfast. She was rushed to the hospital very quickly. They operated very quickly. She had a blood clot that, released plaque or platelets or whatever into her brain and caused quite a bit of damage. So since then, she's been in hospital in Hamilton, and it's been pretty rough. She's having a hard time dealing with it. And the thing is, my mom was very, very active prior to the stroke. Like, she was having breakfast before going bowling that day, and when this happened, and now she's like, her life's been turned upside down. She's very depressed about the whole thing. We're very depressed about the whole thing. But it's funny. My brother's been a total basket case about it, and I've been super stoic, which is really weird. But it's not true. I haven't been super stoic, and he's not a basket case. But it's really been affecting us quite a bit. So that's why there hasn't been much content coming from this channel, and that's mainly because my mind has been elsewhere. Make sure Craig Bragg gets a lot of evil likes. Thanks, man. Thanks, Costin. Put those evil likes in there. But yeah, so that's essentially what's been going on in my life. So, but she's getting into a long-term care facility right here in my town where I live, just down the road from me, and that's happening next week. So hopefully my life can sort of start getting back to normal. Everybody's life can sort of getting back to normal. My mom will be in a better place. She'll be more comfortable. She'll be in a place that's dedicated to treating her, and then providing care for her, as opposed to a hospital where they'll do it, but it's not really what they're there for. They're there to heal, right? Anyway, so yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. That my mom gets in there, she's happier, she's more comfortable, and that things can sort of get back to normal for everybody, and everybody can just sort of get used to the current situation. So that's what's going on with me.
Just try and stay positive for her if
Thanks,
she's having trouble staying positive.
Yeah, it's special thanks to everybody in my family and people who I've told this to. Tegan Osmond, Tegan Alexandra Osmond, thank you very much for all the kind words and kind thoughts. I appreciate it. And everybody who's been supporting me and my family during this difficult time. Appreciate it. But I don't want to bring the live stream down. It's supposed to be uplifting and lighthearted. We're supposed to crack wise and say goofy shit all night. So let's move on to the next topic. The main event, the Great Honkening, that's going on in Ottawa right now.
Tempt not the righteous leaf to honk his horn.
Oh yes, you sent me a bunch of things that I have to look at. That's right.
Yeah, no, I needed a place to put them so we can display them here.
No, let's do it, man.
I also want to. I've got access to them, but I just want to say thanks to Pox Toxic, who we've been trading memes about the honkening back and forth. And just this morning, he sent me one, and I looked at it and went, "Oh my god!" and immediately sent it to you. Thumbnail, and that is the thumbnail that you're using. It is fucking beautiful.
Yeah, I love it. It's so great. And I'm like, who made that? Was that Pox? If Pox made that, that's the best. Where did you send it to me? Because I don't see it in my Facebook Messenger. But it wasn't Facebook.
Yeah. It just that there's been some activity since then. So
yeah, but okay. Well, you have it. So anything you want to share, I'll give you the power to share it. You go right ahead. There's been a number of very spicy memes. Absolutely, they've been very, very good. I've been hearing some news about what's happening, and apparently this weekend they're going to roll out the cops. Is that my understanding?
So yeah, they're getting 150 extra police officers into Ottawa, from what I understand. I don't know if they're Ottawa police or RCMP. I've heard both. Can't confirm. Because we don't do any preparation for these shows. Come on, guys.
No, we don't. No, I'm going based on what people are telling me. That they're going to roll out cops this weekend, and that Here's the thing: it's so strange to me that it's like night and day what's being reported on by mainstream media, and what I'm seeing on all the live streams, like Viva Fry's live stream, Portland Andy, a couple of other ones like Local Boys, who are doing Ottawaks, who are basically covering the whole thing. And some of the gaslighting that's going on, like apparently there's reports of people complaining because they can't sleep at night because of all the honking. Well,
that's the guy in the thumbnail, eh?
Is it?
Yeah, that's the one, the Ottawa Shrieker.
Oh
Who's
god,
just screaming at people, going, "I haven't slept in 5 days."
But my understanding is they stop honking at like 10 p.m. because they're going to honk at Capitol Hill, or at Parliament Hill. They're there to honk at the politicians, honk at the the political area. Like that's why they're at Parliament Hill, right? So yeah, and I mean, for everything I've seen, they've been like nothing but respectful. And they talk about, when Trudeau talks about, they desecrated the Terry Fox Memorial. No, they didn't. They put a flag on it and a sign. Yeah. I mean, they did the same thing at Gay Pride, but nobody had an issue with that.
Except at this protest, when they took their flag and their hat and their sign down, there's video of people literally just polishing it. It's like,
I saw that.
You know what? It's a little dirty. Let's just polish it up.
Yeah, I saw today. I think it was Viva Fry or somebody else. I don't know if it was Viva Fry. It was somebody else, but they were walking around at where the convoy was, and there's a trucker there just because it snowed last night, just shoveling the walkway. And I'm like, now that the plow had already come by on the sidewalk, but they always leaves remnants, so he's just cleaning it up, right?
Yep.
And he's happy as as can be. He's very jovial and friendly. This notion that it's full of far right extremists and anti-science and misogynists and race, it's all horseshit and it's all gaslighting. And the thing is, everybody knows that it's horseshit.
Yeah.
And I gotta say, you know what? Like Justin Trudeau, if he rolls out military as they've been talking about doing, he's moved into dictator. He's moved into a dictator at this point. I mean, you could argue that he has been because of these unlawful, unconstitutional mandates, but to enforce your view or your will by using military force when a peaceful protest is happening, that is the sign of a dictator. That's like Augusto Pinochet levels,
And like, I don't doubt that is going to happen, right? Because Trudeau's ego can't bloody take this, okay? Because this isn't going to stop.
Do you think it's ego, or do you think he's just like, part of me's like, he's just a puppet? He's been given his marching orders from Klaus Schwab and the Party of Davos, and he has to stick to it. And their whole thing is disrupt it all. Now, the funny thing is,
he's always been an egotistical little shit. Ask Master Perry, Canadian hero, who beat him up in grade school because he was an egotistical little shit. Right? Like, yeah.
We should call Matthew Perry up. We should get him on the live stream and say, hey, if we pay for your plane ticket, will you fly to Ottawa and pick a fight with Justin?
Yeah, just round 2, buddy.
Kick his ass again?
Oh, yeah, it'd be beautiful.
Anyway.
So this HONKning, I actually wrote down a few things to remind me of different stuff because there's so much of it, right? Like, okay, so the new thing that's happened is this weekend, I don't know what level of government, if it was the city or the province or the Fed, I wouldn't put it past the Fed, used Canadian tax dollars, used taxpayer dollars to buy out hotels.
That's what I heard too, yeah.
So that there's nowhere to stay. All right, Viva Fry had his reservation canceled. He had a reservation and it was canceled because the government got it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's horseshit. And that's the thing. That's our tax dollars too, right?
Yeah.
Talk about misappropriation of funds. Because, you could say, well, they can't handle it because, there's just going to be too many people in Ottawa. Ottawa is a dignitary town. Ottawa is a place where foreign leaders and their entire entourages come on a regular basis to do political work. And you're telling me that they can't handle protesters coming? It's like a giant fucking park in front of Parliament Hill. Yeah. I went there when I was 20 to an environmental conference. The entire park area in front of Parliament Hill was covered with people sitting down. This is in the summer, of course, sitting down on the grass, listening to Raffi sing, listening to David Suzuki talk. Like, this was horseshit. Well, we couldn't handle it. You can't handle a bunch of peaceful people just coming and hanging out and giving support to the protesters.
No, yeah, and like if it's just some fringe minority, why would you need to take this action to stop people from coming?
I think, but that's the thing. The fringe minority, meme or talking point, it's been proven wrong.
Yeah,
at this point, right? And that's the thing. It's so weird because this is all sort of happening at the same time. Tim Pool was talking about this earlier. Trust in mainstream media and the political establishment is at an all-time low. You get this shit happening with Jeffrey Zucker. Is that his name? Jeffrey Zucker?
Yeah.
CNN being forced out, and all these scandals associated with CNN. So nobody trusts CNN. You know, the mainstream what do you call it? Mouthpiece. And at the same time, people are watching Viva Frei, people are watching Ottawalks, people are watching Portland Andy put all these live streams out there and saying, hey, you know what? And the fact is, most people in Canada, he's talking about it being a fringe minority, most people in Canada support ending all the mandates. And then you got Denmark and Sweden and the UK and other countries putting an end to them as well. You know, like, or are we not at, we need to be at 95% instead of 90% vaccinated at this point? Anyway, sorry, you had some points you wanted to get out, and I keep interrupting.
No. I just like a little reminder so that I don't forget all the things that we could discuss here. But yeah, like this. Let's. I think that's related. I meant to go to Queen's Park tomorrow. That's Toronto's provincial parliament, right?
Yeah.
And I'm ashamed to admit this would be the first time that I would attend these protests in person, right? Well, I haven't actually got off my ass.
I haven't gone either, and I should have been going too all along.
My excuse is always I drink Friday night, so Saturday afternoon I'm fucking out at like I'm useless, right? But I was gonna do it tomorrow, right, as the satellite protests that are happening all over the country to support the truckers in Ottawa. Except I just heard on the radio this afternoon, leaving work after being kicked out. Cops have already barricaded it and shut down University Avenue, the main street that runs to Parliament Hill or runs to Queen's Park. But if it's just a fringe minority, why do they feel that taking these actions is necessary? Right? Like there's been protests down at Queen's Park every weekend this entire time.
So they're shutting it down so that the trucks can't come? Is that the idea?
Yeah, like they're shutting down the streets, limiting the traffic on University. And they also issued a warning to healthcare workers to, on their way to work, dress nondescript. Don't wear anything that identifies you as a healthcare worker. And I'm like, what do they think is going to happen? Do they think people are going down there to be like, oh, look, it's a healthcare worker. Get him. Like, what? What the fuck? Like, they're so desperately trying to frame it as the potential for violence and bedlam.
Yeah.
Like, what is going on? It doesn't make any fucking sense. And like, yeah, so it's already shut down. So, you know, with some of the underground fringe minority people that I know, we've already decided that we're going to move it. And there's going to be, instead of one big one at Queen's Park, every mall. Just go to your local mall in the afternoon. You'll find a group of people hanging out there.
And at a specified time.
It'll be like afternoon, 12 to 3.
Yeah, no, but
yeah.
But do it like a flash mob. At a specified time, everybody take your masks off. I mean, you won't anyway, but I'm sure some people will go there. Well, I gotta wear a mask. I'm in the mall. Just take your mask off. If there are hundreds and hundreds of people walking around without their masks on in the mall, security can't kick them all out, right?
They're welcome to try.
Here's the thing: like, I haven't done this yet because I'm a coward, right? I still wear the masks when I go into the stores because it's expected of me and the whole bit, right? But part of me is like, I tried going into right after getting vaccinated. I tried going into Canadian Tire not wearing a mask. So I've been vaccinated 2 weeks. You know, the appropriate time where I'm now safe from spreading infection. And I go in there with my wife. She's wearing a mask, but I'm not, right? And nobody, I stood there at the customer service counter talking to somebody about a return. I was trying to return an item. No mask on. Guy's talking to me fine, no problem. Right? Doesn't even enter into his mind to even mention anything about a mask. Okay. I go off and meet up with my wife. She's looking at something for the house or whatever. And then all of a sudden, some guy comes up and says, "Sir, you have to wear a mask in here." Like he sought me out. It's not like I was passing by. I said, "Oh, by the way, sir, you need to wear a mask." He sought me out because somebody had complained that they saw me without a mask, right? And I'm like, "But I'm totally vaccinated. Why do I need to wear a mask?" "Sorry, sir, it's a policy." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not going to spread it. I'm totally vaccinated. What are you talking about?" "Well, it's a policy. We ask you put it on." I'm like, "All right, what? I have one in my pocket, but I don't see the need." So I put one on, right? I should have said, "No, I'd rather not." And then he'd be like, "Okay, well, you're going to have to leave then." Or whatever might have happened. He might have said, "Thank you, sir. I appreciate, you at least letting me tell you to wear a mask, even if you didn't want it." I really do think it does need to be a flash mob thing. That's a good idea. Go to all the malls, Square One, Erin Mills Town Center, all of them, and shop around like your regular shoppers. Then do the flash mob thing at a specified time. Take your masks off and pull out a horn and go honk honk.
We were more thinking just to group up vehicles in the parking lots and honk our horns for a little while.
Oh, out in the mall, in the park.
Yeah. Like, we don't want to be a dick about it. Just want to show how many people, how big this fringe minority really is. That like literally every mall is going to have people out there honking their horns and there's a mall everywhere. So every region is going to have at least a handful of people, willing to.
So okay, so I'm just trying to think logistically. Cops shut off University Avenue or close off University Avenue, so trucks can't go there and park in front of Queens Park. But what's to stop them from just parking their cars on major streets around Queens Park? And now they're not affecting traffic on one road; they're affecting traffic on multiple roads around Queens Park. Like, do they not understand that that's going to be like, you got people coming from all over the province or even outside the province. Probably I'm guessing most people who aren't going to Ottawa and are Ontario bound are from Ontario or from south of the border, and they're not going to turn around. "Oh, they put a roadblock up. I guess I better just go home." They're going to do whatever they're going to do.
Again, speculative. I can't read the minds of the people doing this, but either they have absolutely no idea what they're doing, or they mean to make it worse, right? Close the one street, so all that parking, all those trucks have to end up blocking up all these other places, and then they can go, look how terrible these people are. Look at what they're doing. Oh my God. Like, this is the thing that's been bothering me most, is someone out in Ottawa saying, "Oh, they're interrupting commerce and the flow of everything." It's like, are you fucking kidding me?
What did the government
shut down all these small, destroyed all
for
these
the last
businesses.
2 fucking years?
Yeah, like what the fuck? Right? It's literally the same thing, except now the people are fighting back against this government. Like, Jesus. And so someone was trying to tell me that, the eateries in and around the downtown area were so overrun they had to shut their doors. Are you fucking kidding me? That, oh my God, I have so many customers, I'm gonna have to close my business. Said no business ever.
Yeah.
Are you no, the mayor forced them to, threatened them, and said, "You're all shut down. You cannot serve food to these people."
That's
and
so
then
insane.
You know what happened? They just pulled out their own food because they brought a fuck ton.
Yeah,
they tried to spend some money.
People have been sending food up there. I watched a heartfelt video by a trucker saying that we were going up, so we were delivering food, and there was a little baggie with a cookie in it, and there was a note to the truckers from this 11-year-old girl named Katie, and it made him cry. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, that's great. That, like, the fact is that they can try and smear it and say it's a bunch of Proud Boys and QAnon and all that sort of shit, but the fact of the matter is, it's just working class people saying, "Now, fuck it. This is a step too far. We're not." The idiocy of it is when you've got supply chain issues like we do currently, and then the government says, "Oh yeah, by the way, all you truckers who aren't vaccinated, you can't come in here." Never mind the fact that they work in an industry where 95% of the time they're by themselves.
Yeah.
You know, that makes no sense at all. And why are you picking on truckers
Like, it's
coming
the
from
most
south of the border?
isolated job in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Why are you picking on them specifically? And I mean, the logic is, well, they stop at a rest stop and they could go somewhere and get a meal. So can anybody else, vaccinated or unvaccinated. But the fact is, there's protocols in place for social distancing and mask wearing. And if everybody's following those, which most people are doing anyway, it shouldn't be an issue. So the whole idea of you need to be vaccinated to enter the country, why don't you make that of everybody in the United States? See how quickly tourism dies. See how quickly every other industry dies.
Yeah, it's yeah, none of it makes any sense because none of it is about the virus and keeping people safe.
It's
right?
about control.
Yep.
It was always about control.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have had curfews in Quebec twice now, which makes no fucking sense because the virus doesn't, virus comes out, it's stronger at night.
The virus doesn't know what time it is.
Yeah, it's stronger at night. When the streets would normally be less busy, it has a worse chance of spreading. And when the Quebec health minister even says, "Yeah, I don't know that curfews are really going to do anything," and then Legault comes out and says, "Yes, but we have to convince people that they need to behave." And so this is exactly what I mean. My translation is probably awful, but basically, they need to be told what they need to do, and they need to listen. Are you fucking kidding me? Who do you think you are? This is the problem, right? Government thinks that it's your parent.
Yeah, and and they're not good at it. They're just an abusive parent.
No, they're absentee half the time, and then when they do show up and are sober, they act like complete fucking tyrants. It's fucking terrible. Anyway,
yeah. No, circling back though to the truckers and all the food that's been donated to them and been driven into them, they have such a surplus of food that they've started building their own little like shelter kitchen. So they can give some of the food away to the homeless.
Good.
And the city came down and said, look, you can't build a permanent structure here because like you should see it. Like they've got particle board and like good framework and everything and a roof and like you can't build a permanent structure. So they went, okay.
It's a homeless encampment.
No, but they said okay and are raising it up and putting wheels on it.
Fucking brilliant.
Yeah, like
it's not permanent.
It's not permanent. It can be just rolled away, just towed away,
or just say, well, no, we are all homeless here. We don't have domiciles within city limits, so we're homeless. This is a homeless encampment, and this, from what I understand, the city of Ottawa has been very lax in dealing with homeless encampments.
Yeah,
we're now a homeless encampment, and I mean their argument is this is now an occupation. This has ceased being a protest because it's an occupation because you're not leaving. We'll leave as soon as somebody comes down here and talks to us, listens to what we have to say, listens to what we want, and makes some concessions.
Yeah,
and that's the thing with the way things are going, with the way Omicron is, with the way other countries are now saying it's all done. We're not doing it anymore. Go back to life as normal. We're through this. We're through the worst of it. We need to get back to normal. Why is it that the Canadian government has decided, no, now it's time to clamp down even harder? We're not at the point of Australia where they're just fucking taking people out of their homes and putting them in camps. But I could see them trying to drag this out to the spring and summer months where they probably would do that. You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, like that's Ottawa Shrieker guy who's just screeching about us not having slept in 5 days.
Is that the guy with the black hood in the thumbnail?
Yeah. And he's just yelling at a couple of people there, right? Or like, and someone was reeing at him.
And brilliant.
Yeah, and then yells out, "The honking will continue until freedom improves." And he starts yelling, "What freedoms have you lost? What freedoms have you lost?" And someone says, "Look, if I don't get this jab, I'm going to be fired." And he starts yelling, "That's a choice." Okay,
it's a choice to be fired.
Yeah. You're choosing right now. My thing is, yes, it's a choice. The same way, give me your wallet, or I will boot fuck your skull is a choice,
Yeah,
right?
you've got a choice. You can either give me your
Yeah,
wallet or get
no,
your
it
skull
like,
fucked.
yeah, no, who would
No,
choose to have their skull
they
boot fucked?
don't fucking understand. They don't understand. Like,
But
I
the
had the
best
same
response,
argument in Quebec. Well, what freedoms have you lost? I have to show papers to go and eat at a restaurant.
yeah,
That's not living in a free country. Like, you
no,
know,
like I mean, like people don't seem to recognize that I am segregated from larger society.
right?
That if
Yeah,
I
this
don't
is
comply,
medical apartheid, right?
yeah, that right, and if you don't understand that denying the free association between me and a business owner for us to decide whether or not we're going to interact,
Not
that
even to
that
mention medical privacy.
that like yeah, but
I
just
mean, in the United States, they have the Disabilities Act. If you're exempt from something because you have a disability, they don't have a right to say, "Well, what's your disability? Prove it." It's none of your fucking business. My medical history, my personal medical information is mine and my doctor's, and nobody else has a right to ask for it. So go fuck yourself. I just want a chicken sandwich. You know what I mean? Like,
but the best response I saw to that guy was, "Hey, if you don't like the honking, you can move. Living in Ottawa is a choice."
there you go. Works both ways, fucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, it's absolutely insane. We got a couple of comments. They're all from Costin. Thank you, Costin, for being engaged on the in the chat. Anybody else watching, please chat, but please engage. You know what? I think the people who are watching, because it shows right now we have about 6 people watching. Woohoo! I've been shilling it to my friends. They're probably doing something else while listening to it or having it on in the background. So that's probably why they're not engaging, which is fine. Costin says, did you guys catch any of Viva Fry's streams? Yeah, I have been watching Viva Fry's streams. You know what? Here's the funny thing about Viva Fry. Everybody fucking loves him.
He's
You
great.
know what I mean? Everybody he talks to, either on the street or people who know him from like YouTube or other places, they fucking love him.
He's just so fucking congenial.
He is. It's so true. He's just such a affable guy, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of it. What else we got here? Preparation is evil. Yeah, everything is evil to Costin. Which is more evil, the federal or provincial government? All government is evil.
Yeah, we've had this discussion before about how, like, you know, the whole thing trends left and authoritarian. That's why we have to view it through this lens of, is this too authoritarian and too left?
Right.
And yeah, like what it is a necessary evil, right? And we have to beware of it at all times. And people have forgotten that. Too many people.
Yeah. And the funny thing is, you get people on the left saying that these truckers are all fascists. Maybe you don't understand the definition of fascism. But mind you, you can't ask a leftist to define fascism, because everything they don't like is fascism, right?
Yeah.
But you've got working class people, and this is another thing that somebody put. This is the first working class protest.
I'm gonna send it to you. I'll be able to screen share.
Oh, right, yeah. You can screenshot it. I can give you the power to share if you want.
Yeah. Let me because the group things that I sent you a whole bunch at once didn't go through on the computer for some reason.
So yeah, they do on my phone, but I don't see them on my computer.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what happened there. So so now I have to pick them and send them one at a time. Okay. Yeah, share.
You should have the power. You should have the power to share. Should you not? Do I have to give it to
you? No, I have to offer it to you, and then you allow it. And yeah, okay. There we go. Okay.
Here we go.
Yeah, so workers are uniting in solidarity against an authoritarian government, and the left is against it. The trucker convoy is the closest thing to a working class uprising I've seen in my lifetime. I wasn't around in the 60s, and yet the left is somehow against it. Isn't this exactly the kind of thing the left should be supporting? Are there even any working class people on the left anymore? Why do they all seem to be Zoom tech workers or unemployed? Why is the actual working class overwhelmingly not on the left? It's really
or they're champagne socialists, right?
yeah.
They're,
It's really unsettling to see actual working class unity. Am I not sharing this?
no, you are. I can see it.
Okay.
Everybody can see it.
Good. It's really unsettling to see actual working class unity taking direct action against fascist mandates, and the left is taking the side of the fascists. Like, workers of the world unite. But no, not like that.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. If it was a conservative government, they'd be all for it. But it's a liberal government. And the same goes in the United States. If Donald Trump was in power, they would be behind these people 100%. But then Donald Trump wouldn't be putting them in this situation, right?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, it's strange how things have flipped. You know, they say the party switched. Well, they didn't then, but they are now. It's funny that conservatism or, you know, traditional values people are more liberal than the people who describe themselves as liberal. It's mind-boggling.
Yeah, I mean, and it just goes to show that, yeah, like the fascists, the Nazis, that's not extreme right. That's just a different kind of left.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's an argument to be made that all authoritarianism is left wing.
Well, because it's collectivist, right?
Right.
And it's the pitting of one group against the other, right? And based Brian Peckford, have you seen Brian Peckford, the last surviving author of our Charter of Rights and Freedoms?
Yeah, he was talking to Jordan Peterson recently. Did you watch that?
Yes, and I also watched him out at, I don't know if he was in Ottawa, but he definitely gave a speech at somewhere live where there were tons of people, and he was basically describing to them shorthand the discussion he had with Jordan Peterson and saying, look, the government's wrong, you're right, I should know, I wrote the damn thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, Brian motherfucking Peckford, like, yes buddy, yeah, give it.
He also had a more elevated view of the notwithstanding clause. Like, to him, this whole thing about how the notwithstanding clause has been invoked, you know, it seems disturbing to him. Like, we had there was a reason for it. It was political at the time, but the reason was sound, or the reasoning behind it was sound.
Yeah.
They didn't want Ottawa to dictate to the provinces, you know, everything top down. So they wanted to give provinces the ability to say no, right?
Mm-hmm.
Understandable. But if that's the case, then it should be part of the clause, should be something that can only be invoked by the provincial governments. I don't think it's something that the federal government can say, we don't care if it's unconstitutional, we're doing it anyway.
Well, like, you know, I've said it before, our Constitution is so full of holes, right, that sometimes it doesn't seem to matter what Brian motherfucking Peckford says, that it requires 4 distinct criteria. Right. That's what Section 1 means. It's like, no, like it literally does mean what he's saying it means, but the way it's phrased, the way it's worded, people think that they can just go ahead and railroad through it. And
they can, because 1, they're in positions of power.
Yeah.
And 2, their opposition does not want to challenge them, because if they set precedent that it can't be used in this context, that means when they try and use it next time, it won't be used. They won't be allowed to do it. Never mind the fact that all these people swore an oath to protect the Constitution, and that the notwithstanding clause should be used very soberly and not on a whim, right? I personally, if I were rewriting the Constitution, I wouldn't have it in there. I would just clearly delineate what the responsibilities of the federal government are, what the responsibilities of the provincial government are, and never the twain shall meet. I don't think the federal government should be involved in anything that is part of the mandate of the provincial government at all. Federal government should have very specific role: protect our borders, keep a standing army, or keep it, you know, have national defense, right? Yep. Legislate, but broad legislation that also does not fall into the area of where the province would decide. So your broad legislation would be the Criminal Code of Canada, but then legislation that pertains to the functioning of what the provinces are going to do and have judicial answers for, that's their job, right? Sadly, it's become, Papa federal government, and all the little nieces and nephews are the provincial government, and they're all basically vying for approval, vying for funds. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, yeah, appease the federal government to get the dough.
Yeah.
And
that's another thing. I don't think the federal government, I really don't think the federal government should be collecting as much in taxes as it does. I don't think there should be a federal income tax. There certainly shouldn't be. You could have a provincial income tax and you could have a sales tax. I would prefer everything to be consumption based. So I prefer that sales taxes would be the biggest portion of taxes collected.
I had gone on a rant a little while ago with somebody at work, right? Like, God, you make money and they tax it. You spend money and they tax it.
Right.
You put it away, and if it grows at all, they tax that too.
Right.
You buy a home and they tax that.
Yeah.
Okay. You try to sell the home and you got to pay the tax, right? They're taking all these tax dollars constantly from everyone. All right. And we're $2 trillion in debt. What the fuck have they been doing with all of our money? Like, what the fuck are we? What? How the hell did this happen? Printing off half $1 billion? Half $1 trillion?
Yes, it is costing. Ottawa is evil.
Yeah.
It is it's a you'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy than Ottawa.
My God, we decriminalized marijuana and the government lost money selling drugs.
Yeah, that's insane.
No, government is shit at everything. Just absolute fucking garbage.
Because it bears no consequences for any mistakes it makes. Because it's not using its government doesn't make money. It just takes money and redistributes it. So, right. Hey, man, we're losing viewers because we started talking about tax policy.
Oh, yeah, that always goes wrong.
But yeah, no, I have a couple ideas of how we could fix this country. First off, get rid of universal suffrage. Not everybody should be voting.
We still haven't figured out how that would actually work, though.
Oh, no, I know exactly how it worked. You just wouldn't like it.
I don't like it because the thing is, I have to be able to say, fuck my country, fuck my government, and fuck the man next to me. This is my vote. I have to be allowed to do that, or I'm not a free person. I have to have a say, no matter whether or not I contribute. I should be a homeless person, and if I can register to vote and do nothing for society, I get a say because I live here, because I'm a citizen.
Right. I believe every citizen deserves one vote. However, some citizens should have more than one vote.
Interesting.
And those extra votes would be based on your participation in the community. So, for instance, if you work for them, if you are an enlisted person, if you're in the military, you get an extra vote. If you're in fire or police, you get an extra vote. If you're a homeowner, you get an extra vote. If you have children, you get an extra vote. I don't know. We lost it. Things went interrupted for a little while. That's my point of view, anyway.
I have a simpler solution. The problem
but that sounds elitist, like elitist snobbery, because I'm basically saying single renters only get one vote. Well, yeah, you're one person. But if you have kids, you're making decisions on behalf of those kids too. You have a stronger stake in how the community goes because you have kids that you have to worry about. If you're a firefighter, you're putting your life at risk for the community. If you're a police officer, same goes. If you're an enlisted person, if you work for the military, same goes. You're putting your life at risk for the community. So you should get extra votes.
See, and I don't know. We could argue this all day. My opinion is that people who put their lives at risk for their community, for their country, should get more money. You should enjoy more perks.
Yeah, but our money's worth shit. Money's not worth anything.
No,
Money's
no,
not worth anything.
but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah.
if we paid the military the way you pay, mid-level bankers, right? That they're finished their guys who dedicate themselves to this will go 2-3 tours. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And not die. You should be taken care of the rest of your days.
Yeah, right? I agree. You know what they did in Hungary, eh? And I don't know if this is still policy, but this was passed. So Hungary took a different tack with regards to the population crisis that most of the Western countries and European countries are going
If you
through.
have 4 children, you pay no taxes the rest of your life.
That's right. If you get married and you have children, you don't pay income tax.
Wait, no, it's a minimum of children. I think it's 4.
Is
if
it?
you have 4, you pay
Yeah,
no
because
income
they
tax.
want their population replenished with Hungarians. So, and personally, I think that's a good idea, as opposed to saying, no, we'll just bring everybody in from Bangladesh and Eritrea and all these other countries where they may or may not speak the language, may or may not appreciate our cultural values, that kind of thing. And here's the thing: I don't have anything against immigration. I think people who want to come here because they see something in Canada that is great, and I'm fine with people coming here. But if you're doing it as a matter of, well, our population is too low to subsist on and make our economy function, well, then there's other ways to deal with that. I don't think you just bring in people from another country. But we have a leader right now who believes that Canada is a post-national state, right? It's part of the greater global community, and we don't have Canadians don't have a culture. Right? These are quotes directly from our prime minister. Canada doesn't have an inherent culture.
Like what a fucking retard.
Yeah,
like,
but he got elected twice.
I know people make fun of us, right? That there's a fucking leaf on our flag. On the internet, in the darker corners, we're referred to as leafs, right? Fuck you, leaf.
What is it? Your beginning of your video is this, or the end of your videos? Gas the leaf tribe.
Yeah, love fucking. Thanks again, Pox.
Yeah,
well done.
Cheers for the tear god, salt for the salt throne, and gas the leaf tribe.
Man, that guy. I love that guy.
It's funny. Costin says no votes for Torontonians or Italians.
Yeah,
agreed.
You know what? So do I. Fuck, man. Shit. Except here's the funny thing: is that most of the Italians in Toronto secretly vote conservative.
True,
and they have for a long fucking time.
Because Italians come from a very conservative culture. Family is very important to Italian community, right?
My dad was born on a farm in Calabria, right? Like, if you don't if you don't think that that's conservative, you're out of your fucking mind.
Oh, here's another. People with Scottish names, they get 2 votes. Mackenzie, McIntosh, McDonald, because the Scots built this fucking country.
You know what? They might have built the country, but it was Italians that built Toronto. Okay, absolutely, hands down. That's no one can deny that.
It was the Portuguese who did all the landscaping.
Yeah,
that's not true. They don't do the
Italians laid the bricks.
They do the
Portuguese
stonework.
They're all the yards.
Apparently, Portuguese are really good at doing stonework. They do a lot of bricklaying. They do a lot of masonry. That's a big Portuguese thing.
Look, you know why Italians and pork chops get along so well and make fun of each other constantly? Because it's literally the exact same culture. Like, they're basically identical. They even look the fucking same. You can't tell the difference by look between an Italian and a Portuguese guy. Come on.
Oh, but Portuguese is a different language than Italian, right? It's still a Latin language.
Yeah. Yes, but it's a little bit harsher, a little bit rougher,
a little bit more working class.
Yeah, because like Italy,
less of a romantic language.
No, it's just farther away, and they got the worst of it when it came to the Islamic invasions, right? You know that it's basically the tip of the Iberian Peninsula where Spain and France are, and yeah, they just got fucking mangled. So there's a lot of Arabic influence into what was once a Latin language, and it's still Latin, but the heart of the Latin language being Italy, like Italian's far closer to the Latin than the Portuguese. So a little more guttural in the
Yeah.
language there. But
hey, you know what? We're kind of getting off on tangents here that have nothing to do with the honkening. So maybe we should just change the subject. Everybody knows what's going on in Ottawa. You all know about the honkening. Let's talk about O'Toole.
Jesus Christ.
What a O'Toole. So congratulations to MP Candace Bergen, Murphy Brown, for becoming the interim leader, which is kind of depressing.
I understand that reference. Not everyone's going to get that.
Different spells Candace differently, but here's the thing: like, I'm kind of sad by that, because my understanding is if you are made interim leader of a party, you can't become the permanent leader. You can't become the elected leader or the chosen leader.
I don't know about that, but
this is what I've been told. Now I don't know either. So maybe somebody who knows can talk about it. But yeah, I mean, what a feckless leader, as they say. Feckless. I'm not 100% sure the definition of feckless, but I think it fits.
I think that's too narrow. What a feckless party. There's a handful of people that are good, and they need to defect to the PPC, because guess what? The rest of your party is not like you. Pierre Poilievre.
Right? Well,
get out there.
I'm going to even go so far as saying this. Since Harper left, I think the powers that be at the Conservative Party basically sat down and said, you know what? The new direction for Canada is the neoliberal zeitgeist. It's going to be a global communist world in the next 3 decades, and we're not going to stop it. So we may as well just get on board. So basically, the Conservative Party, since Harper left, has been controlled opposition.
I think
Scheer was completely useless. He made some clever speeches on the floor, but he didn't do anything. O'Toole didn't even have the charisma of Scheer, and Scheer wasn't very charismatic to begin with.
Yeah.
And he can't even stand up for conservatives and conservative principles. Give me a fucking break, man.
Allow me a moment to rebut, because I think you are flat out wrong. I think the entire party lacks all conviction to actually make that kind of decision. We don't have conservative leadership in this country. We have conservative followership. They wait until they see what the polls are. They wait until the number of truckers breaks the goddamn record for a convoy by 10 times before they decide, yes, we are going to support those truckers and stand out in front of them as if this was our idea. That's where they failed. They failed because they have no platform until they think they can get votes on it. That's why Maxime Bernier and the PPC are making ground, because they say, this is what we believe, and we're going to stand by it. If you don't like it, we understand. Go vote somewhere else. But this is what we're doing. And the Conservative Party, all right, outside of a very few, are not conservative. They're just not even like they're bandwagon jumpers. They're trying to find a bandwagon that they can get votes and win. They're not trying to win based on conservative principles and a conservative platform. They're just trying to win. And that's not fucking useful, is it?
And they're not doing a very good job of it, because they keep
they haven't. Scheer fucked off, right? O'Toole is fucked. And now poor Candace Bergen is going to be saddled with this, and she's not going to do well. No one's going to do well. And the only few conservative people don't actually really do a lot of campaigning. Pierre Poilievre, he comes from finance. He just goes on the finance aspect, and he's good at that. He's fantastic at that. He's a conservative financially, but honestly, he doesn't jump in the terms of conservative values.
He's all about holding the Liberals to account for corruption. Like, he really has a hate on for Justin Trudeau.
Financial corruption.
Yeah. Corruption in terms of, payoffs from charitable organizations, that sort of thing. But I mean, that's partisan, right? That's something that he does because they're the opponent. Here's the thing about conservatism, and it's not an excuse, but it's just a matter of, and Tim Pool makes bones about this as well. basically you've got the Republicans or the conservatives, neocons or whatever in the US, and same goes for conservatism in general. It's a defensive political position, which means you basically are pushing back against the progressive narrative, the progressive politics. When they say we're moving forward in this direction, you're supposed to say, well, hold on, let's slow down. That's conservatism at its base. So for one thing, it's a defensive position, but two, it's also it it inspires kind of laziness because it means you don't have to do anything. You don't have to stand for anything. You just have to stand against something. And the problem is when you've got ideologues like the Liberals and Trudeau and all of his lapdogs in the party saying this is the agenda and we're moving it forward, and they are adamant about moving it forward. And then you've got the conservatives who are kind of milquetoast about it, and they're lazy because conservatism, while it's a defensive position, they're like playing really bad defense. They're getting goals scored on net, like 10-1. You know what I mean? Because can you imagine a hockey team playing defense all the time? All the time. And then you do it poorly half the time.
Yeah, like I understand defense wins games, but you have to have an offense and you have to be able to score. And they just don't. And it's because we don't have leadership. We have followership. Except for Maxime Bernier. And sometimes guys like Pierre Poilievre, who, I don't know if he knows. Does he know he doesn't belong in that party anymore? That he really is the kind of guy that should be going with Maxime Bernier? Right? They're gaining steam too, which is weird.
And you know what's funny? They are gaining steam. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but what's funny? Justin Trudeau, when he made his speech from the cottage or whatever, he name dropped both Maxime Bernier and Derek Sloan.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thanks. Good for name dropping him, because you've now advised every Canadian on who they should look into, because you are clearly not the guy who's representing the majority of Canadians.
And like I've said it before, I lost my train of thought. Shit.
Yes, because I interrupted you. I apologize.
No, it's because I've been drinking.
You were saying how Poilievre, he's got to realize now that he shouldn't be in the Tory party. He should be with the PPC.
Yeah, and he's afraid to lose his seat, and I understand that. Like he's gonna. Bernier lost his job basically, right? And anyone following him has gone through the fucking ringer. Mm-hmm. And was it 5% of the popular vote? Finally, they're a legitimate party that gets funding now.
Yeah.
And some of the polls suggest they're as high as 8 and 9%, maybe more, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But still, with all that support, too thin. They didn't win seats.
Yeah, that's right. That's okay. It's a marathon. It's not a race, right?
It's an uphill battle, and
here's my broad view of how this dichotomy sort of plays out. So you got, like I said, progressives, liberals, whatever you want to call them. They want to move the needle forward. Conservatives' role is to try and keep them from moving it forward too fast. When the progressives get a hint of power, they go ape shit because they realize it can't last, and they try and push things too far, which is why you get things like critical race theory and gender ideology and all the nonsense that we're seeing in the world today right now. It's turning off so many people that it will automatically swing back towards conservatism. It's almost axiomatic. It's almost like a rule of the universe. It's going to ultimately swing back, and it will swing back hard. And the problem is people will think we will have regressed, but as a matter of fact, it's going to bring in a time where people are actually feeling better about the world because it makes more sense. And the concern that the people of the progressive ilk will say, you want to bring us back to the dark ages, so to speak, or you want to bring us back to the 1950s, so to speak, where everybody was racist, and women had to stay in the home and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, no,
And and the fact is
right?
that's never going to happen. There are certain gains that have been made through progress that we're not going to move back from. But there are things that have gone too far that need to be moved back. And so this is why the defensive game is the long game. The progressive game is like the spurts.
Yeah.
And then the stalls, and then the spurts, and then the stalls. So ultimately, over time, we do move forward progressively, but it becomes tempered by the conservative long game, so to speak. If it makes any sense, I might not be making much sense.
No. You're right. And I'm trying to hold on to my thought here that, conservatives are supposed to be trying to conserve individual liberties and the rule of law. And that's not actually contrary to progress, right? When the society, when the culture decides that, people of different skin tones or races should also enjoy individual liberties, conservatives should be all for it, right? The gays, they should have the same individual liberties, right? So when you're progressing forward in these different minorities, fringe minorities need these rights. Yes, of course. If you're actually conservative, then you should look and go, every individual, regardless, deserves these rights and freedoms and to be equal under the rule of law.
Right.
But the problem is the progressives, the liberals, are suddenly shouting out with this group rights idea, which is absolutely contrary to an individual's rights. Because if the group needs something, the individual now has to suffer.
Well, this is why all authoritarianism, like you said, is collectivism, which means it's all of the left. And that's the thing. The left, progressives, whatever, they don't view people as individuals. They view them as being part of a group.
Yes.
Racial, ethnic, age,
sexual,
economic standing,
gender.
Sexuality, gender, that sort of thing, right? They don't view you as an individual. And it's funny because I think it was Ayn Rand said, who is the most marginalized minority in the world? The individual. They're the smallest minority. They're the most marginalized of any minority, right? So, but the thing is that because you're of the left, you think of it collectively, and you think of, and it's also a disingenuous sort of political game that they play by pitting these groups against one another, and at the same time saying, you black people, it's the white people's fault. And it's not just the white people's fault. It's the white people who hold traditional conservative values. Oh, wait, you hold traditional conservative values as well? Well, you have internalized whiteness. You know what I mean? Because the fact of the matter is, let's be honest, statistically, African Americans, black people, they tend to have traditional points of view with regards to family when they hold values to be true, right? The fact that their culture has been sort of like decimated to do the exact opposite of what is traditionally their values is a huge tragedy, to be honest. There's something else I was going to say. I forget now. It's weird, and I haven't been drinking. It's something that I've been thinking about for a little while now, and it has to do with why it is that some people of a particular political mindset, and I don't think it necessarily has anything to do with politics, because I think this is true of everybody, and we're going to get all philosophical here. So we all know we have a sort of an innate moral intuition about what is right and what is wrong. Every human, I believe that every human being has that. you know what's right and wrong. If you grew up in a society, let's say, if you were raised by wolves, maybe you don't. Maybe you just act on instinct. But we all have this sort of innate sense of right and wrong. And you know when you've behaved poorly or you've behaved badly because you get this little feeling. You ever, make a decision to do something and you know you shouldn't be making that decision to do something, but it's not until after you've done the decision that you realize you made the decision, that you realize you made the wrong decision. It was wrong for you to do that.
Yo, fuck Jiminy Cricket.
No, it's not conscience necessarily, but maybe it is. It's moral intuition, conscience, whatever you want to call it. But it even goes down to like you're trying to lose weight, but you grab that cookie and you know you shouldn't grab that cookie.
Yeah.
And so you get this feeling in the back of your head, fuck, that was a bad decision. Why did I do that? I was so good all day, and then I had that fucking cookie. Same goes for when you do something that is morally questionable or ethically wrong or evil. You have that in you, and it's innate. Whether you believe in God or not, I have it myself. It's guilt, if you want to call it that. The only time that you can basically ignore it is when you become possessed of ideology. And by ideology, I mean a specific set of positions, not necessarily values, but a set of positions with regards to society, right? So ideological possession can sort of numb that moral intuition so that you become so possessed by this ideology that even when you know something is wrong, you already have a justification in your head because your ideology permits it. And that's why you see people on the left, particularly in the United States, say California, where they want to repeal the Civil Rights Act in terms of their hiring and their acceptance into universities.
Jesus, yeah, that shit is.
And they justify it through their ideology, saying, well, this is so that people can discriminate against white people and have more black people in universities, have more black people in professionals.
Except that they have to discriminate against Asians.
Well, or Asians, exactly. But the thing is, because they're ideological possessed, they can't understand that it's wrong to dispossess somebody or to alienate somebody or marginalize somebody based on their race. And so why you get this skewed notion of what racism means now, as opposed to just feeling you're superior to another race or feeling that another race is inferior to you or more deserving or less deserving. That's racism. But now it's no, it's prejudice plus power.
ADL actually changed their
well, they did briefly,
right?
They did briefly, and then apparently they changed it back because there was a huge outcry. There was a huge outcry saying that's not fucking racism, that's ideology. So yeah, I guess I mean I know it's not really has to do with O'Toole, but you know what? I'll bring it back around. O'Toole knows what's right. He knows what conservative principles are. But he's possessed of an ideology that is speaking to politics and political gamesmanship and the idea of basically just maintaining power. He's become so possessed by the political process, ideologically possessed by the political process of, like you say, following the polls, jumping on bandwagons that he thinks it's politically expedient to do, that he's ignoring what he knows is right or wrong. He's ignoring the principles that guys like Maxime Bernier basically hold at the foundation for everything they do in a political context.
Yeah.
O'Toole is like, well, if the people want it, then that's what's right. Because we live in a democracy, and even if they wanted, all MPs to get breast implants and identify as transgender, if that's what they want, then I have to get on board with it, even though it has nothing to do with conservatism.
Yeah, and like it's not even that's what's right. It's that's what will win me votes, I think.
Right.
And so I'll go along with it because that's my job. And it's like that's not your fucking job, man.
Yeah, you can convince yourself that anything is good if you can do the mental gymnastics to justify it. And I'm saying that ideology is probably the easiest and quickest way to do that, especially when you become very fervent about your ideology. You can behave in the most despicable of ways, and you can convince yourself that it's all justified because you have the right ideology, you have the right belief system, the right political position on any given thing, and you don't have to think about maybe it's wrong. There's no need for self-reflection because you can't be wrong because you have the answers in your ideology.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with being involved in a cult or being, devoutly religious. Anything you do, you can be the most despicable. What do you call it? Those Baptists? That Baptist family in the United States, Westboro Baptists. They behave in the most despicable manner, but they justify it. They're the most, disgusting human beings, but they justify it because their ideology, their political or their religious ideology, their religious, belief structure justifies it. Same goes for politics. Same goes for ideology.
Yeah, and it's like that's not different from what the liberals are doing, right? Like it's they're just trying to they're just caving to get votes rather than stand on a real principle.
Yeah.
And like
no, it's worse than that. They don't even think about their positions. The liberals, I'm saying. I mean, and that can be summed up in Justin Trudeau's current year, right? When he was asked, why did you make all your cabinet members? Why did you make all your cabinet positions female, or 50% of your cabinet positions female? Because it's 2015.
Yeah,
that's not an answer. But everybody applauded him. But his ideology told him that it's time because equity, not because I want the best person for the job.
Right.
And now Biden's facing backlash for his whole thing. I'm going to put a black woman on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Because Dwyer's retiring. And people are like, maybe you should put the best fucking justice you can get up there. Well, of course she'll be the best justice. She just happened to be also be black and female. Right? Anyway.
How do you know that before you've weighed and measured?
Well, that's
right. Like, yeah, it's and I mean, on the individual level, circling back, I don't wear a fucking mask, and I'm not going to.
Good for you.
It's been weird a little bit. I go into places and I see people looking at me, and it's hard to tell at first because they have a mask covering the majority of their face. So I can't tell their expression, but I realize the vast majority of people who make eye contact with me, it's like, are you giving me a dirty look? What's happening? Oh, you're smiling. You're smiling under that mask. You're just happy to see a stranger's face. Yeah. It's somehow relieving to you. And at least once, I've seen a person look at me with a weird look, all right, and they weren't smiling. But then they pulled their mask down. I don't have the charisma or the charm necessary to actually start a movement, but apparently I have enough balls to give somebody else the little push they need to find their own and take off their mask.
Good.
And
I wish more people would. I really do think that it's going to be one of these things where it's just going to take a critical mass. You're just going to see, one day it's going to be one guy walking around without a mask on, then it's going to be two or three, and then eventually people are just going to fuck it. You know what? There's three other people in here not wearing a mask. I'm taking mine off too. And I do think that the flash mob thing is a good idea. I really do. I think it would go a long way to getting people who aren't part of it to go, oh, fuck, there's like 30 people in here not wearing their masks. Fuck, I'm taking mine off too.
And like we were talking about the honkening and, truckers descent on Ottawa, there's going to be satellite protests everywhere across the country. Coots, we never got to Coots, Alberta, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, where they're blocking the border.
Oh, yeah. And the RCMP decided to call up the tow trucks and say, you got to come tow some of these. And their response was, we all have COVID. We can't come.
That's awesome.
You know what? Right. And it's because they know they do business with these truckers That's their
Exactly.
business. If they go against the truckers, the first company to say, "Yeah, we're coming to tow you," will never get called again. Not never. So they're siding with them, maybe by coercion, maybe by choice, maybe they're literally standing with them. Hard to say, but the force
I'm
coming
inclined to
down.
think that the tow truck, especially the tow truck, you've seen the tow trucks that tow big rigs, right?
They're big rigs.
They're
They
big
have to be.
rigs designed for towing big rigs, so they
Yeah,
consider themselves truckers as well.
of course they are.
So
Who
yeah, they're probably in full support. I would think that the vast majority of them are in full support. It's
Linda
not a matter of like,
Clinch? Sorry.
it's not a matter of them being like, oh fuck, I better not do this, even though I disagree with this protest. I don't want to lose the business. I think most of them are in full support. Matter of fact, most
Yeah.
Canadians are in full support, and it's clear. It's not a fringe minority.
See, and you say most, and that's probably technically correct, but from what I've seen in the different polls, it's not really big. It's like 58-42.
Yeah,
We
but that's
haven't hit the
fine
60
because
mark.
that's still pretty damn good.
It
It's still pretty damn good because you got to think that the people who are like the diehard liberal fans. Well, I mean, you could probably track it to Trudeau's approval rating. I bet you he's probably still got 42% of Canadians probably still like him. So the 58 are the people who don't like him, and the 42 are the people who do like him.
And I mean, the thing, like we've been talking about this the whole time. I've been working at it. I'm slowly getting painfully fired and just going around my business, not wearing a mask. And the thing that keeps going on in the back of my head throughout all of this conversation, everything that we discussed, now the hard part. If this were a novel, okay, and the chapter ended with 50,000 truckers descending on the Capitol, right? And suddenly the provincial ministers were like, I don't want that to happen here, so I'm going to go ahead and say things that will placate them. The next chapter would be titled, Now the Hard Part, because you can't let up here. You can't. You have to stick it out. Because if
I've heard that some of them are saying they're going to stay until May. I've heard some people say we'll stay here until May. Like we don't care. We got another commenter, Linda Kmish. Welcome to the
Linda Klimsch
channel. Welcome to the live stream. She says, I'm going to show it. This is psychological warfare. Good on them. And ugh. I don't know what you're ugging about, but yeah, I agree. It is psychological warfare. It's a psyop, especially all the gaslighting that's coming on from the CBC. Did you happen to see Viva Fry stopped a CBC street reporter asking him if he thinks that what else she's saying here? Hold the line. Yes, absolutely. If he thinks that the CBC presents things unbiased, and he says, "No, I don't. I think we just report plain news." You don't think that are unbiased? No, we're not unbiased. Why do you think that the people who I assume are reasonably intelligent don't trust you? What do you think the reason is they don't trust you? And he was like, "Well, I have no idea." You know? I mean, he's not. I mean, I totally understand. He's not going to basically sell his bite the hand that feeds him, so to speak, right? He's not going to say, "Yeah, we're all full of shit here. CBC's bought and paid propaganda for the Liberal Party." He's not going to say that, even if he believes it.
Look, they took the money, right? They're now beholden to the sitting government.
Yeah. And Trudeau even made a joke about it at some sort of roast. Did you see that?
Yeah. And like, I don't know if that's
made a joke about being, like, the best. People wonder why we're covered so well. Well, we paid $6 million to each of you to cover us so well.
$600 million.
$600 million. Yeah, it's money well spent. If we can't get good coverage by buying you off for $600 million, then it was, money well spent. Anyway, you have some other things you want to share. Bring them forward, because we only looked at one of them so far.
Did we?
Thanks, Linda, for your engagement.
Let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So Coots Border, Teal Healthcare Workers, the Ontario Shrieker. I'm getting fired.
Shrieker, I love it.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's so good. I did that. That's my name for him. Right. Okay. So there's been a few things that we did not get around to on the images here. I want to share this one because someone had made some comment about treat treat the protests as if they were a homeless encampment.
Yeah.
Right. Well, if you treated it like a homeless encampment, why would you be so upset about that event that may or may not have occurred at the homeless shelter? Did you hear about that?
No.
Oh, that some members of
Oh,
the
at the
trucker.
soup kitchen. At the soup kitchen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it turned they stole food from a soup kitchen. No, they didn't. They went in and they asked for some soup for the truckers, and they gave it to them, and then they said, "Well, we don't want to give any more to them." So after the fact, it's like crying rape after you had a bad night of sex. So, yeah. So basically, they said, "Yeah, okay, here's some soup for you guys," and then they said, "Well, we don't want to give it to them." Then they went on. Wait, they went to the press and said, "We didn't really want to give it to him, but we just kind of did."
And no, it was worse. It was like, they came in demanding food, and then they. This is a different story, but it's related. I'll explain why.
Yeah.
They demanded food, and also they assaulted one of the homeless patrons, and then the security guard trying to intervene was racially slurred. It's like, okay, hold on. These stories have all the hallmarks of shit that didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it didn't happen. I mean it was fake.
Yeah.
I mean it was Jussie Smollett hired some Nigerians to pretend that he was being assaulted by white people wearing MAGA hats. Okay.
I'll take things that didn't happen for 600, Alex.
Exactly. And the hallmarks are the absolute non sequiturs throughout the story. They demanded food. Wait, they didn't come in and say, "Hey, would you serve us because we're a little bit hungry?" It just escalated immediately. Kick in the doors and give us the food.
Yeah.
Also, no escalation between asking for food or demanding food and then assaulting a homeless person. And then, to top it all off, they did a racism.
They did a racism. How dare they?
Yeah. And like, again, not saying it didn't happen, saying it was fake. I think all of these markers lead to this was a publicity stunt.
Yeah.
Or publicity stunt after the fact when some people who are controlled opposition went and behaved poorly.
Yeah.
Trying to pretend they were part of the convoy.
Like the masked guy with the Confederate flag that they said, "Get the fuck out of here. You don't represent us."
You want to talk about misinformation? I don't know how many times I heard on mainstream media, even on one of my favorite radio stations, that they use the plural. Swastikas use the plural. Confederate flags. There was literally one of each. And those motherfuckers were not only chased out by people in the convoy, somehow they magically had their own photographers.
Yeah.
And the photographer of the guy with the swastika seemed to look almost identical to Justin Trudeau's personal photographer.
That's no shit, eh?
Yeah. I mean, maybe there are other gingers with full beards that take pictures, right? Like that's not impossible, but goddamn, the resemblance is uncanny.
That's funny. I hadn't heard that. I heard about the Confederate flag. I didn't know there was a swastika.
One guy with a swastika. And you know what? The Confederate flag guy implanted himself deep into Parliament Hill in the middle before he got chased out. That guy with the swastika never got in there. They just didn't let him in.
Yeah. Let's read this. I'm still regurgitating a memory from yesterday while transferring a baby between RAH and University. RAH, I'm guessing that's something hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And university so the baby could receive surgery. We got caught in the convoy downtown, surrounded by yelling and honking. I sat in an ambulance with a mom and her baby while we wet gridlock. They promised they wouldn't block emergency vehicles. They blocked emergency vehicles. These are the moments that completely deflate me. These are the moments that are hurting healthcare workers.
Can I jump in right here?
Go.
Hurting healthcare workers? Are you out of your I thought this was a story about a baby that needed surgery. Suddenly, it's all about the person writing it. It's all about the healthcare. What happened to the baby? Where'd the baby go? Is the baby okay? Or was there no fucking baby? And this is shit that didn't happen for 600, Alex. This is God. You know what's worse? If this is real and the healthcare worker that wrote this made it all about themselves suddenly. How are you so self-absorbed that you suddenly tell a story about this baby and now it's all about you? Get the fuck out.
I don't want to disparage the healthcare industry, but you do remember that for 2 years they were lauded as being, the real heroes, and took time out of their busy days during this pandemic to make TikTok videos. There is a tendency amongst people who work in healthcare to see themselves as greater than they are.
I hope it's not true. I hope it's not a tendency. I hope it's one of those things where we see that because that's what get publicized, and the vast majority are just doing their jobs and putting their head down and going to work.
Absolutely. The vast majority do just do their jobs, and they love their jobs, and they're good at them. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that some people who are attracted to that job take pleasure or have a subconscious desire to be seen as a savior.
Yeah.
Right? So they do make things about themselves sometimes.
Yeah, like
I'm gonna get shit for that. Somebody's gonna say, I'm a nurse and I'm completely selfless.
But this story in particular, this twists me because either it's fake, so fuck you, or it's real.
And you made it all about
yourself. To the baby? How did you make it about you?
Yeah.
Like, God, it's worse. It's worse if it's real.
Yeah.
Because the healthcare worker made it about the healthcare worker. I literally can't even, Craig.
I can't even. Are you gonna go and do a crab walk?
God, like, how do you do that, man? How do you?
What else you got? Show us some more.
What did I send you? Oh, okay. So this is not anything useful. This is just fucking funny. I'm gonna try to. Did I send it? I haven't sent it. Okay. Oh, fill the dead air for me, Craig, while I send this to you.
All right. So here's the thing. I think I need to finish my Canada Man costume, and I think I need to make my way downtown.
Guy, if you had it finished already, I would be funding both of us to go to Ottawa together.
Yeah, I would take time off to go to Ottawa. And if cops were there, just tell them that they're villains for doing what they're doing. Let me see what you sent me here.
Are you familiar with Rudyard Kipling's Wrath of the Awakened Saxon?
No, I have not. I'm not familiar with it, but
oh dear,
I'm gonna look at it.
It's a dark poem. It's actually kind of disgusting and horrible, but also it makes a lot of sense in this. This is the Wrath of the Awakened Leaf. And we discussed a little bit. We touched on it.
Okay. Should I read it? Should I read it as if I were Rudyard Kipling?
If you like.
The Wrath of the Awakened Leaf. It was not part of their blood. It came to them very late, with long arrears to make good, when the leaf began to honk. They were not easily moved. They were icy, willing to wait, till every count should be proved, ere the leaf began to honk. Their voices were even and low, their eyes were level and straight. There was neither sign nor show when the leaf began to honk. It was not preached to the crowd, it was not taught by the state. No man spoke it aloud when the leaf began to honk. It was not suddenly bred, it will not swiftly be raked through the chilled years ahead, when time shall count from the date. That the leaf began to honk. That's beautiful, man.
Rudyard Honkling. And like
Rudyard Honkling.
So the line is when the Saxon began to hate.
Right.
Okay. And it's I don't know if it's a justification of the Nazis or if it's just an expression of the Nazi party, but this is fucking beautiful. Like it's such a great twist on
Was
this.
Rudyard Kipling a Nazi?
No, but he seemed to have this weird understanding of being Saxon. Right? And yeah, like I mean this
So this has to do with. So I'm just trying to, because I mean, okay. So Saxons, I guess I don't know a lot about early European history. Were Saxons related to the Germanics?
yes.
Okay, all right.
Like the way we talk about Anglo-Saxons,
Yeah.
the Angles and the Saxons were two distinct tribes of northern Germanic people who ended up migrating to the place we now call England. But the Saxons, yeah, the Germans are directly descended of the Saxons, and yeah.
So is he basically? So I mean, I'm trying to analyze poetry here. So is he essentially saying that what happened to the Germans in World War One was such a demoralization that this is why they acted the way they did?
Maybe. It like I again, it never reads like a justification. It's just like this is what happened, and it's just been so well twisted into the leaf began to honk, and of course, on the internet, there's this whole thing about the day of the rake.
Yes,
Right.
the day of the rake.
Yeah.
When the Leaf tribe will be purged.
Yeah, like
Right. Yeah.
Fuck you, Leaf, stupid Leaf poster, fuck off, right? It right. The line is it will not swiftly abate. And this guy's twisted it into it will not swiftly be raked.
That's
And
awesome.
it's just magic. Like what a beautiful poem that he destroyed and twisted into something just as beautiful.
It's good.
Like,
Not
yeah.
gonna lie, it's good. Got a few more messages from Linda Kamish. So never hated anyone so much. I'm assuming she's speaking about Trudeau. You're welcome. Hi guys. Yeah. Thank you. What a load of bullshit. Oh, presumably about what we were talking about with regards to the gaslighting. Hey Linda Costin. And hey Costin, happy Saturday. And there's a lot of liars out there. Look and listen and learn. Love mom. LOL. Sorry, I gotta show the quotes.
Yeah, no, put them up.
All right, what's next? Because you sent me a ton of stuff. I want to show it off, and we should talk.
Yeah,
about
but it didn't go through, so I have to do them one at a time. And now I've been drinking. It's gonna take some time. You have to fill the dead air.
All right. Yeah. So I've got a couple of ideas about Canada Man's accoutrements. So originally I was going to make a EVA foam helmet, and I think I will still, like a full-on mask that kind of looks like the Dark Knight armor helmet from Batman v Superman movie. So it'll have like an opening for the mouth, but it'll mainly be a helmet. Won't have the ears like Batman, obviously. But it's going to be white, black, and red. And then I was remembering that back in the day, I made a Jake Garrick Flash costume for Halloween one year, and I got one of those World War One helmets, and I spray painted it silver. I'm like, I should co-op that. I should basically paint that white and put like a leaf on it, and then wear like a domino mask underneath it, or like goggles or some shit. And then I don't have to worry about making an EVA foam mask, and just wear that with the costume. Maybe a little bit more, I don't know, it'll look a little weird, but it'll stand out as not looking like a Captain Canuck clone. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, yeah. And if you don't want to do Batman ears, you could do Maple Leafs.
Or like Canada goose wings.
Oh. Yeah, no, yeah, you can do the black, brown, white stripes that differentiates them from other wings, right?
Yep. No, I don't think it'll be wings. I think it'll just be a helmet, like a
honkening though, like that totally represents the honkening. And like, I don't know if you took a good look at that picture. You know, geese have fucking teeth on their tongues.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
they're nasty fucking animals. The only thing that beats them is eagles.
Yeah.
And guess what, Americans? 90% of your eagles live here. So
It's true. Bald eagle? Yeah, it's mostly in Canada, right?
we have both birds. Yeah.
Okay,
So
you sent me something else here. Oh, but you can share it, can you not?
I did I not? Am I not still sharing and you have to approve it?
Oh, here we are. Sorry.
And this is the saddest thing. This is the worst way to look at it. And Justin Trudeau is on some political spectrum looking at it like this.
Yep.
Why are people doubling down? You know, it's hard to accept that you damaged your children for nothing. This is something we haven't discussed. We've masked children. We've made them sit forward and sit silently while they eat their lunch. They're not allowed to engage each other because they might spread coronavirus.
Yeah.
Right.
They're going to be socially stunted.
And for nothing. It's hard to accept that you stole their prom, their first day of kindergarten, their little league championship, and their chance of an athletic scholarship for nothing. It has to be a deadly disease. If it's not, that means they were wrong. Being wrong cost their children dearly. So instead of waking up saying, I was wrong and trying to fix it, they're going to double down because acknowledging the damage they did is far too painful. And, you know, if government agents suddenly turn around and say, we were wrong, they're done. They're done.
No, we expect them to be wrong. I mean, here's the thing. People are aware that government is shit. It's part of the reason why people are pushing back so hard, because the government doesn't know its ass from a hole in the ground. But we expect them to be wrong and make mistakes. We've all got on board because, okay, it's a scary virus. We're all, we'll give you this little bit of leeway because we understand it's a novel new virus, even though your track record is shitty. But the thing is, at this point, we expect at some point you are going to say it was a mistake. We shouldn't have done it this way.
A little leeway. You're right. But this is 2 years in. Okay. And here's what people don't understand, right? 2 years is beyond the point of every other pandemic in the history of the world. Either it kills 30 to 70% of all people, or it's over. And if it does kill 30 to 70% of all people, it's still over. 2 years later, we have to go back to normal. And they won't, because they've been pushing it. They can't admit they were wrong now. If you admitted you were wrong 3 months in, 6 months in, 12 months in, you might be able to gain some forgiveness.
Well, now they're saying that I saw a statistic that all in all, the lockdowns probably saved 0.02% of lives.
Yeah.
That were, basically were at risk. 0.2 or 0.02. I think it was
0.2. And
0.2% of all deaths were probably averted, or there would have been 0.2% more deaths.
This is the problem with the lockdown, is if this thing is as virulent as you say, all you're doing is waiting to have it hurt you later. Right?
Yep. If Six-Hammer said it best, like 3 months in, 3 or 6 months in, he said, we should just let it burn through the population. People will become immune and it'll be done. But the fact is, because we're locking people down, shutting down businesses, it's taking a lot longer to burn through the population, and we're taking a lot longer to reach herd immunity.
And that's why Sweden, that started that way, protect the most vulnerable, let the strong, healthy people get it, recover. Their curves were so much gentler than everywhere else. And when Texas and Florida opened up finally, and some of the other states, I'm not sure which,
Dakota.
But because Texas and Florida are so big and they're so prevalent, right, that they got a lot of attention.
Mm-hmm.
Look how bad it is in the
Mm-hmm.
first 2-3 weeks when they opened up, and then suddenly their curves dropped to basically zero.
Yeah. Not to mention the fact that Florida, has got the oldest population of any state in the union.
And it still didn't hit them
And
the
it still
same
didn't
way.
hit them as hard as they,
Yeah.
Fauci expected,
Right? And like when you start really digging deep in Montreal, in Quebec in particular, because of the way they fear-mongered how terrible this is, long-term care workers abandoned their posts, and the vast majority of 8,000 people that are called COVID deaths died of malnourishment. They just abandoned them and left them to starve to death.
Or they were actively killed because, guys like Cuomo and Gretchen Whitmer put sick people into nursing homes where the most vulnerable lived.
That's the U.S. That's New York with Cuomo that they forced them back in. But in Quebec province,
yeah,
long-term care centers were abandoned by healthcare workers.
That's insane.
Yeah, and out of the 8,000 to 10,000 deaths, almost 6,000 to 8,000 of them, they didn't die of COVID. They died of malnourishment.
Died of neglect, essentially, right?
Can I don't even know how to describe that. You spent your whole life paying taxes into this healthcare system. You spend your own retirement money. Your kids are funding you to go to the long-term healthcare center. And now there's a pandemic, and suddenly, not only are you sick, you're starving to death. You're dehydrating to death because they just left you there.
Yeah, and you're probably not getting your life-saving medication either. Linda Kamish makes a good point. They don't report any of the suicides, overdoses, mental stress, let alone the side effects. How about domestic abuse, right? How about people who've been assaulted or maybe even killed because of domestic abuse that was brought on by people who are already in strenuous situations at home, and now it's exacerbated by the fact that people who live in difficult partnerships or difficult relationships are now basically trapped together for weeks and weeks on end, right? So I'm sure there was a spike in domestic abuse calls.
Absolutely there was, right? And what are we supposed to do? We're not allowed. I'm literally not allowed to go out and blow off some steam.
Yeah.
I can't go to a bar. I can't go to a movie theater. I can't enjoy. I'm forced to stay at home. I'm forced to wear a mask at my work or not be able to generate income.
Yep. I really want to see that new Spider-Man movie, but I'm not going to the theater if I can't eat. Like they'll let people go to the theater, but you can't get concessions. Like that's not going to the movies. Like if I can't get popcorn and like some nachos, I'm not going to go. I think it might be changing now. I think it might have changed now, in which case maybe I'll head there this weekend. Okay, JD Dave, sorry. Welcome to the Ammunition / HONKnation. I've never seen you before. Maybe Irving knows you. What's your take on what's going on in Ottawa? Why can't Trudy come out of hiding? Because he's a coward and he's waiting for his marching orders from Klaus Schwab and the party of Davos. I do believe that the leaders of places like Austria, Australia, Germany, these ones that are getting more authoritarian as the virus is being proved to be less deadly than it was when it first started, and now it's essentially a bad cold, not even a bad cold, sometimes a mild cold. I think that they're all basically in on some sort of conspiracy to demoralize everybody and get them used to authoritarian living as part of the Great Reset Agenda 21/30. That's my take on it.
You don't have to believe it. That's not a take. They openly say that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, like, basically, but the normies don't know it. The normies don't know that this is all along with Agenda 30. They just think, wow, things are getting kind of crazy. I guess it's really bad. No, things shouldn't be this crazy or bad, because things should be getting back to normal, because we've reached herd immunity. We've got over 90% vaccinated in Canada. We should have been open back up, 6 months ago at the very, latest, if not earlier. But no, Trudy is basically waiting until he gets the go ahead, or until critical mass is reached, and he can't deny it anymore. The funny thing is that, with regards to Justin Trudeau, so he does all these things. He's grossly unpopular, but there's no chance of them ever getting him out of there. They're not going to vote him out like they did with O'Toole, and they did it with O'Toole for basically not siding with the protesters. He had an opportunity, a winning opportunity, to basically take the narrative that Justin Trudeau is unpopular, and this is our sort of our wedge issue that we can put upon him, and affect the coming election to maybe oust him because he's the one responsible for everybody's misery. And he didn't. He basically said, well, these people, we don't like extremists. Like he basically shit on them too.
Yeah.
Anyway, good to see you, JD Dave. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you come from, but I'm glad you're here.
Welcome.
Because Trudy is a girly girl. That's sexist.
And yeah, because he's a girly girl and he has no other recourse, I don't doubt military intervention by his, man, you don't understand. The last video I put out before the recent one, I was talking about the black pill.
Yep.
That I am straight doomer. I don't see any good coming from this.
About what's going to happen? About what's going to happen tomorrow, or
all of it
in general?
All of it in general. I don't see any good coming out of it. All right. I have resigned myself to refusing to hope, because every time I've hoped, every time I've thought something good is going to happen here, it's backfired so terribly on me that I just can't. And you know what I see? I see it's going to get a lot worse.
It always does, right? So, I mean, not to use a lot of idioms and whatnot, but it's always darkest before the dawn. Here's the thing. I'm not a religious person, but I do believe in objective morality. I do believe in good and evil. And I do believe that ultimately good prevails, because evil is unsustainable. It's evolutionarily unstable. It's sociologically unstable. And I think ultimately, in the long run, people are going to realize that what happened during these 2 years was a huge authoritarianism run amok. And the good that will come out of it is that at some point there will be the groundswell of never again, right? And then that ultimately will fade, but we're talking decades and decades before it'll fade again. It moves in cycles. We're going to go through this area of authoritarianism. Hopefully it only lasts 2 years. I'm cautiously optimistic that ultimately good is going to prevail, and that tyranny can't last. It's not sustainable. Sociologically, politically, it's tenuous. And I don't know why authoritarians don't learn this. Maybe they think that their brand of authoritarianism isn't quite that bad, but it's not. It's not one of these things that is ideologically specific. Tyranny is tyranny. It doesn't matter if you did it against the Jews or you're doing it against the unvaccinated. It's evil. To say to a group of people that you are less than, or say to a group of people you are going to be excluded from society, it's evil. Doesn't matter what your reasoning is. Doesn't matter your justification. It's evil. And I think people realize that. I was talking again about moral intuition before. I think people realize that. I think even the people who are instituting it realize it, but it's their possession of this ideology, possession of this narrative, possession of this worldview that is, sort of impacting their ability to pick up on the evilness of their actions or how their actions are so wrong. They've justified it through whatever it might be: ambition, political ideology, um, um, designs about the world. I don't know. But the point is, at the end of the day, it's going to be understood that it's evil by more and more people, and it ultimately has to be defeated. It will be defeated.
Again, I'm not willing to hope that you are correct, because my hopes have always been dashed by the wayside. And you see my flag here. This is Clown World.
The
Honk Honk, which was somehow years ago a portent to a honkening.
It's true, right?
Like, yeah. Like that they're honking in the Capitol, and I still don't buy it. I'm still not willing to accept that this is a thing that's gaining ground.
Here's the thing: like you look at guys like Tim Pool, they're like, "It's over, we've won." Not yet. Don't count your chickens before they're hatched.
Like I said, now the hard part.
Yeah.
Right. And
I'm using a lot of metaphors.
I just like, no matter what happens now, even if they stick it out to the bitter end and win, and the mandates are dropped, by and large, across provinces, the Fed steps back, Trudeau is removed. I can't fly that leaf.
You can't what?
I can't fly the leaf.
Understood.
I pulled it down.
You notice I'm wearing Boba Fett symbol, not the maple leaf, right?
I pulled it down. I fly this again. Right. It's a dead meme. And you know what? That's what I believe.
It's not a dead meme.
It's Clown World, man.
Kekistan.
Like, I can't help but think of this joke that I heard a long time ago. One day Canada will take over the world, and then you'll all be sorry. Right. And like, there are satellite convoys happening across the world, in Brazil, in Denmark, in other places in Europe.
But it's not giving you any hope.
But I think, holy shit, did Canada manage to do it? Like, by example, take over the world? And you know what? No, I don't buy it. I think the moment we let up, the moment the truckers back down, the moment people can no longer afford to be out there, boots on the ground, and go home, government's just going to snap back.
Yeah.
And wrangle us all up. And I will never again trust the government. And worse, I will never again trust the people. 42% that are still in favor of lockdowns, measures, vaccine passports.
I don't buy it.
Masks.
I don't believe that's the case.
No.
I really don't think that.
I'll never trust them again.
No, but I don't think that 42% is a legit number. I think it's horseshit. Good night, Linda. Thanks for coming by. Honk honk.
Good night, Coach.
And Costin says, "Beds are evil." Linda Commish. Good night, nonetheless.
But I've lost all faith, and I'm not willing to hope that, like,
but you were raised a Catholic boy. You should have lots of faith.
I have faith in Jesus. I have faith in myself. I don't have faith in government, and I don't have faith in people.
Well, no, I've never had faith in government.
I've been black-pilled.
I don't have faith in government either.
But
I've never had faith in government.
But I've been black-pilled on people. Okay, there's too many of them that if we don't stand up constantly, their weakness will overrun. Like, God, 12 mangy dogs can kill a lion. And it doesn't matter how many lions there are if there's more mangy fucking dogs. And these sickly, poor, fucking weak-ass people will overrun us every time because
Well,
all we want to do is be left alone. And that they see that as weakness and they'll attack and they'll divide us. They'll come at us in our little places. And if we don't rise up and drive 50,000 people across the country, they won't back down. Scott Moe, Kenny, Doug Ford, they're all saying it's time to fucking calm down, protesters. You should go home. We
no.
have plans in place. We'll release our plan next week so that over the coming weeks, we can reduce the. How is that different from 2 weeks to flatten the curve?
Mm-hmm.
It's been 2 fucking years. If
Yeah.
you don't drop it right now, this second, I don't believe it, and I never
that's
will.
just it. And
I'm out.
no,
I'm
I hear
done,
you.
man.
I totally hear you. But in terms of the pack of mangy dogs killing the lion, the good thing is, and here's a little bit of shine on your black pill there. Mobs aren't sustainable either. So you can get a mob to do something absolutely terrible short term. But I think that the political class, Trudeau, whoever, it's probably not going to be him. It'll be somebody else because he's too heavily invested in it. Somebody is going to ultimately meet with the spokespeople of the convoy. Somebody will from the government. They're going to have to take their time to do it because they can't be seen to acquiesce and give in too quick. They also don't want to give a win right away, although that would probably be the best strategy for them. Say, okay, you're right. We're ending the mandates. Democracy prevails. Peaceful protest is good. They want to turn it into something. One, their strategy is going to be to try and turn it into something evil and foul. They've been trying to do that gaslighting on the news, right, and in media. But if they can't do that, and I think they're realizing now that it's not flying, people aren't buying it. Some people are, but most people aren't buying it. Then they're going to have to go. We're either going to have to manufacture it, which is where this military thing comes in, because counter protesters apparently are showing up tomorrow as well. Counter protesters mean paid agitators, like they have in Iran and they have in these other, shithole countries where they try and suppress any kind of uprising whatsoever, peaceful or otherwise. They're going to do that next. If that doesn't work in swaying opinion, then they're ultimately going to have to say, fine, okay, we get it. I think they're going to have to, because again, Denmark's already done it. Other countries have already said we're ending the mandates. They're going to see the writing on the wall and realize, well, we can't keep this up forever. It's clear now that it's not killing people in huge numbers like we said it was going to. And we need to end it. But this ultimately, though, for the government and the political elite, it's been a win these past 2 years, because now they know how far people will be pushed. Right? And then they go, okay, so next time we're either having to be really, really savvy in how we push them, or we're just going to have to do it blitzkrieg and just immediately lock them up.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, but I just don't see it not happening. Like they're
I'm gonna watch online tomorrow live what's happening and see, watch for agitators, watch Ottawa Walks, Viva Fry, whoever. But
look, I no longer identify as Canadian. I'm Fringian.
You're Fringian?
I'm not from Canada. I'm from the fringe north. And this I won't fly the Leaf. I'm pretty sure for the rest of my days.
But
right.
Hold on though. But okay, here's my issue with that though. You're equating being Canadian with supporting the actions of the government.
No. The people, and there are too many people in this country. 42% is far too fucking many.
Okay, I wouldn't believe that number. First off, I don't believe that number.
I don't want to, But you know what? Every time I've hoped has gone fucking wrong.
Polls
Okay?
are horseshit, though. You know polls are horseshit because Hillary Clinton had a 99.9% chance of winning in 2016, based on polls, based on models, right? No, I'm sure that the polls that they're citing to get this 42%, they're horseshit. Because every time they hold a non-scientific poll on Facebook or one of these other social media sites, like CTV will put a poll out. Do you think that vax passports are a good idea? 92% of them, 92% of respondents said no, fuck off, no vax passports. And then they took the poll down because it wasn't giving them the answer they wanted. So when anybody can answer a poll, you get it more realistic, even if it's not scientific. But when they have push polls or they have weighted polls, and you'll get things like 42%. But even still, if they have a weighted poll and it's showing that only 42% are in favor of vaccine passports, that means that it's much, much lower and that they were targeting their polling. The vast majority of people don't support vaccine passports. I know people who are on board with it, absolutely. But they're from a different world. You know, they don't see things the way other people see things, or they're just very easily bamboozled. And I'm sure there's lots of people who are like that. But um, I think more people are getting more of their media from non-traditional sources and are seeing the reality of it.
I just I look at the provinces. Federal has not given an inch, but the provinces saying a week from now we'll give you a timeline.
What do you mean a timeline? Just fucking do it.
Yeah, exactly. That as long as there's a stick, I don't buy your carrot anymore. And if you drop the carrot and throw the stick away, you know what? I will forever be on guard. I will forever not trust. And it's not just the provinces and it's not just the Fed. It's the goddamn people. I live in Toronto, Craig.
Yeah.
Okay. I live among the champagne socialists who tell me what's good for me, whether I like it or not.
Yeah.
And I will no longer trust. All right. I'm on my own out here. And I can't sit back easy.
Maybe I should give you the Canada Man costume. You go out there and crack some fucking skulls.
I'll ruin it.
You got a better body than I do.
It's not the point. Is that like I'll go into a Shoppers Drug Mart and fucking assault an old lady who tells me to put on a mask. Yeah, no. I very much feel like I know I have people on my side. I know there's people going to Ottawa. I know there's people like you who are with me. But when I go out into public, when I go out in the world, I'm alone. Yeah. And I have to take the mask off. I have to wear no mask and go into a place and have some people look at me funny. Some people look at me kindly, like they're happy. But there has been one place that denied me service.
Oh, really? Where?
A bakery in the neighborhood. I'm sure they're scared. They're small. They don't have like backing or anything, right?
Right.
But they were like, no. Right. But I mean, I haven't been to Canadian Tire, and I know Canadian Tire is notorious for put on a mask or we're gonna fucking pin you down and beat you up.
They are?
Have you not seen some of this?
No.
Oh yeah, no. Some guy in a Canadian Tire was like, "No, you have to wear a mask." No, thank you. And employees and customers literally assaulted him.
That's fucking horseshit. So yeah. Did he have the cops? Did he have the cops file charges? Did he file charges?
I don't know the details after the fact. But there was a video of employees, security, and customers.
Yeah, you know, like that's really scary to me. Not because of what happened to him, because, like you said, fucking mangy dogs, right? Take out a lion. But my concern is you do that to the wrong person, they're likely to come back with a shotgun and shoot up your fucking store. Maybe not so much in Canada, but we got guns here in Canada. Well, don't do that. That's scary. Don't walk around with that.
I don't leave the house with. I live in Rexdale, man. I don't leave the house without a 5.5-inch Benchmade and a 120-pound dog.
Hey, you better be careful. They'll lock you up just for saying that.
You think COVID is the worst of my problems? All
no,
right.
No.
I got real problems.
No, the government is the worst of your problems. And the cops are the thugs of the government. It's funny. There was somebody came to my door the other night, and they were looking for a donation, and they told me what it was for, and they look legit and everything, right? And I'm like, oh, actually, that sounds like a good cause. Yeah, I'm willing to donate, sure. She said, well, I'm not going to take any money from you right now, but if it's something you want to commit to, I can, get your name and information, sign you up, kind of thing. I'm like, yeah, sure, don't go ahead. Here's my email address, blah 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 blah. And then she says, okay, and because you're making a commitment, I gotta call this in. She calls it in and says, they're gonna call you in a moment to make arrangements for payment or whatever, right? I'm like, okay, no problem. I'll do it by PayPal or whatever. Oh, we don't do PayPal. I'm like, oh well. Like, wow. They're gonna call you right now. Like she was at the door. They're gonna call you right now, and then you got to give them your credit card info and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't give my credit card info over the phone. Oh, well, it's completely safe. And I'm like, it's not the point. It's a rule I have. I don't talk to cops, and I don't give my credit card info over the phone.
Right. And hold on. Your dad was an RCMP officer?
No, OPP.
OPP officer?
Yeah.
And you don't talk to cops?
Well, he's retired. I'll talk to him.
Sure. But you have inside information, so you don't talk to cops.
No, I don't talk to cops because I've seen a number of YouTube videos. I mean, I watch nothing but YouTube. I've seen a number of YouTube videos with lawyers saying it does you no good to speak to the police. If you're ever pulled over or you're ever in a situation where cops want to talk to you, the only words out of your mouth should say, I don't speak to police without a lawyer present.
Beautiful.
And you can be as polite as you can be. As a matter of fact, you're better off being as polite as you can be.
Yeah.
Say, look, I understand you have a job to do. I just have a hard, fast rule. I don't speak to the authorities without having a lawyer present under any circumstances. So if you have a citation for me, by all means, give it to me, and I'll follow up in court or I'll follow up in my own way. But I can't answer any of your questions. I can't talk to you at length about anything. Give me the citation, place me under arrest. That's all. Those are the only options.
And what's amazing is that's now how I feel about literally all people. Like, you want to have a conversation? We have to have my lower president because.
Well, you know what? Here's
you know what? You just might be a Trudeau supporter, so I'm not willing to engage. I'm not sure. I can't tell. It's
Irving,
hard.
I'm almost certain that there's a local libertarian group in your area. You should go and they have meetups because there's libertarians of Niagara, there's libertarians of Hamilton, and I keep seeing them as a Facebook group. And I used to be subscribed to them. I don't subscribe anymore. Maybe they don't exist anymore. But anyway, they would have meetups like every Sunday at like a pub in Hamilton. And I'm like, oh man, I should go. I want to go kind of thing. And I never did. But the fact is, they're all over the place. So all you need to do is find a good group and hang out with them, and you have like-minded people that you can share ideas with. And and chances are, if they're libertarians, they've found a place that isn't following the mandates. So you could probably go in there and hang out without a mask on.
Hey, we found a place early on, right? I bet
they have we should not go back there. We should go back there.
Let's do it.
Yeah, Zucchini's Cucina.
Whenever you're ready. I'm about to be fired. I go into work and leave because they send me away. So whenever you're ready, I'm down.
Okay, well, just because you might be budgetarily impacted, we'll just have salad when we go there.
No,
we'll have the salad, a glass of water.
Don't worry about my finances. Let's just go ahead and do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay. Sounds good. What are you doing tomorrow? What are you doing tomorrow?
I'm gonna find a mall.
Right, and go honk.
Yep.
Do the honkening.
But the evening's free. Let's do it.
Okay. I'll confirm with the wife because we haven't got.
Bring her this time. I'd love to meet your wife.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'll ask her if she wants to. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing. Back when you and I first talking about doing it, I invited her. I said, "Do you want to come?" She's like, "No, I don't think so," because she's still very afraid of going to a place where they don't have, people might not be vaccinated. I'm like, but I think she's starting to come around to the idea that like vaccines don't really mean much at this point. It's natural immunity at this point.
Well, what's the joke that like, 90% protection, 80% protection, 60% protection, 0% protection, but you won't be in the hospital. 0% protection, but you won't die. Oh, you'll still die, but you go to heaven. Like,
well, this Dr. John Campbell in the UK, the guy who I've been watching on YouTube, turns out the wife watches him too, like all the time. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know you watched this guy. Anyway, she's like, yeah, it's really interesting information because he breaks down the statistics. He's looking at all the charts from the different organizations. And he's saying, so what we're seeing here is basically the difference between having natural immunity and vaccinated or just being vaccinated is negligible to nothing. So you're better off protected if you're vaccinated than if you're not vaccinated. But if you have natural immunity and you're also vaccinated, you may as well have natural immunity because the protection you get from the extra vaccination is not significant. Natural immunity is better, and the vaccines don't last that long. And this booster that they're trying to get everybody to get, there's still questions of whether or not it's effective in terms of Omicron. Well, because you know what I mean, like because it's an old vaccine.
WHO have all come out and said multiple vaccinations hitting more of these boosters might be against your best interests, right?
It might actually inhibit your natural immune system.
Yeah.
My cat's protesting. What? Did mommy not feed you? He's supposed to have his 11 o'clock snack and it's now 1 o'clock. But that being said, it is getting rather late, so maybe we should move on. There's still a few people watching. You know what, though, Irving? No one tells jokes anymore. Does anybody have any jokes in the chat? If you have a joke in the chat, give it out. We'll read it. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. Fuck. Oh! Here's one.
Oh, okay.
Why can't you hear a pterodactyl going to the washroom?
I don't know why.
Because the P is silent.
Okay. All right. I've got one more on topic.
Okay.
What do vaxxers and anti-vaxxers have in common?
I don't know what.
Neither will ever be fully vaccinated.
There you go. Here's a joke for you, Craig Bragg.
Oh, this fucking guy.
Irving Twin. Hey, Irving Twin's one of the funniest motherfuckers I know. So
he
that's not an
insult. Every fucking time, and I don't know why I'm not mad about it. Like, I love this guy.
It's done out of love. Hey, did you change your picture, Costin? I don't remember seeing a goatee before.
No, he's still sideways. It's
I know he's sideways, but is the goatee new?
No.
Or has he always had that?
Yeah.
Oh, weird. Okay.
Guys fucking styling, but sideways.
And he's got the trilby on. That's a trilby, not a fedora.
It is. Or is it a fedora? A trilby, yes, yeah.
I have another joke. Why do they hate sunrise in Athens?
I don't know why.
Because dawn is tough on Greece.
Ooh, that's like a dad joke. Like,
oh yeah, that's all I got anymore.
Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, Della Hayes. Hey, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live stream, Della Hayes. Good to see
Della.
you.
Oh shit, man. Yeah, fuck.
Here's a joke. Costin watches a stream without calling something evil. It's true. He does like throwing that word around quite a bit. Good to see you, Della Hayes. Thanks for popping by.
Yeah, man.
We might need to end this at this point. We're looking at 2 hours 25 minutes. My cat's protesting because I don't think the wife fed him yet, and it's been a good stream. And it's been too long. We need to do another after hours with you at some point.
We will.
And yeah.
But great show.
Folks, if you are not on Getter yet, get on Getter, because I'm on Getter. You can find me there. It's at Cragbrag, at CRAGG, BRAGG, and Irving Twin is there as well. Hopefully we have some people here from Getter, because I don't know how many followers you have, Irving, but I think I have like 80 at this point.
Wow, good job, man. No, I've got like 5, and one of them's you.
But yeah, I'm. You can follow. I do post there from time to time. Mostly, I'm reposting guys like Pasobic and other people on Getter. But I'm glad to have a Twitter type platform back again. I'm just. It's not quite as robust without being infected by all this left wing nonsense, because that was the fun stuff where you could just shit on people for being idiots. But it's all good. Man. I'm still enjoying it.
And I just I lack the charisma and the charm to start a movement. So all I can do is be a belligerent fuck without a mask.
No. You're standing up for your principles, and you are a better man than me, because I've given it every opportunity.
Resist. That's all I can say.
Here's the thing. If my mom hadn't gone into the hospital, I would be. But they required me to show my vaccine passport to visit her, and I'm not going to not visit my mom. So I had to bite the bullet and whip out my phone and show them my QR code. So,
and hey, like, I walked into a pharmacy to collect my mom's prescriptions, and I did so without a mask, and I had one in my pocket just in case. If they said I can't serve you, I would have put on a mask to collect the medicine. I understand. If it comes down to it, if it's necessary.
Yeah.
But no one has.
You know what would be good? Because here's something I was doing when I was forced to wear a mask or forced to show a vaccine passport when I was in Quebec and Montreal. I would leave a Yelp review saying good food, friendly staff. Unfortunately, they discriminate against the unvaccinated. And so I would give them a fewer stars, right? What you should do is you should go on, Google reviews or Yelp or what have you, and say, picked up my prescription from this place today. They were very friendly, and they didn't balk at me for not wearing a mask.
5 stars.
5 stars, right? And more people see that, and they're like, oh, I can go in there without a mask. Sweet. And it becomes this sort of like grassroots type of movement.
Yeah,
people just don't.
It's a good idea. And you know what? One time, I saw a guy look at me.
Mm-hmm.
I made eye contact, watched him. We're standing there bagging our groceries. And he took his mask off.
Good on you.
That's the best I can do.
You have power. You are charismatic, and you do have influence.
No, I just had enough balls that moment to give him what he needed to show his balls. He had it in him.
Yeah. But that's the thing. People, courage is contagious, right? When you don't need to make a rousing speech, but just knowing somebody there has the courage of their convictions can inspire you to be courageous as well. And with that, I think it's probably a good time to call it a night.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us in the HONKnation. Sorry, the HONKnation tonight. There'll be another one soon. Don't know exactly when, but this is Craig Bragg signing out. If you're not yet subscribed, please do. And we'll talk to you all again real soon. Irving, you want to say anything before we go?
Never trust your fucking government because they're not working in your best interest. They haven't been.
Unless their name's Sigmar.
Hail Sigmar. We need a proper God Emperor, and I'm all for Brian Peckford.
Yes. All right, folks. Have a great night. We'll talk to you again soon.